Thank you for tuning in to OPM Live, which is an extension of Ordinary People magazine. I am so thankful that you all decided to share a small portion of your day with us today. And today we have an amazing guest, and we can't wait to hear what she has to share with us. But before we get to that, let's thank our sponsors, V. Marshy Enterprise, Southern Eagle Music Group, It's a Raised Vision, and gemstones and trinkets. And we are still doing it. And you know exactly what it is. We are practicing our 6 feet apart. We are still wearing our mask. And for those of you who are moving forward and getting your vaccination shot, we thank you for that as well. We're going to have an amazing show. And we look forward to sharing it with you. And remember to subscribe to our page, our YouTube page, which is OPM Live with Verna V. Nickelberry. And you can also view us on our Facebook page, the same, OPM Live with Verna V. Nickelberry. And with that, we are going to bring in our guest. Our guest is Miss Shmeka Gibson with Innate Success. Hello, hello, hello. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you, Miss Verna?
I am doing fantastic. I am doing just fantastic. We are so excited to have you with us today and everything that you're going to share with us. I'm excited to learn a little bit more about innate success. So, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and exactly what is it that you do?
Absolutely. My name is Shmeka Gibson. I'm an author, college professor, business owner, radio show, and podcast host. I'm also a public speaker and the founder and president of Innate Success Corporation. So, Innate Success Corporation provides a variety of business options, tools, and resources needed to develop business owners, organize business practices, enhance the leader traits in individuals, and promote potential business leaders. So under the NA Success Corporation umbrella, we offer many services. And one of our most popular services is the NA Success Core Model. And this is where we provide our contract services to organizations in need of organizational infrastructure development and program management. We also support organizations that need help with research and applying for funding opportunities, other known as grants. And we also provide services with data analytics. Also under that umbrella, I have my radio show with WDRB called Changing the Mindset. Well, it's Mindset Shift with Dr. Gibbs. That is aired every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can listen to that through iHeartRadio, but I'm sure we get in the middle of that in a little while. I'm also an author, like I previously stated. I am about to release my third book under the Changing the Mindset model. And the Changing the Mindset model, which is what we'll talk about a little bit later as well, is about helping people alter their perceptions and look at things differently in order to change their behaviors. We also have a community-based model under our umbrella as well called IS Cares. And under that model, we offer support to businesses that are startup or grassroots organizations. Those individuals can participate in a 6-month mentorship program. We also offer personal and professional development workshops using the Changing the Mindset model under 5 content areas. And I have one final project that I plan to launch as if I don't have enough going on. I have one more project that I plan to launch later on this fall.
You are an extremely busy person. Are you by yourself or do you have a large team?
I have a team. I definitely have a team. I have some volunteers that are committed, and I have paid staff as well. But the most important thing that I want to highlight as far as my business are my connections. So I have individuals that I do barter services with. So they help me with some things that I need, and I help them with some things that they need. And honestly, that has been the best resource in helping my business grow. That's been the best way I've been able to market myself as well, is identifying where some businesses have a weakness or they have a need. And because I'm a grant writer, I know the importance of identifying needs. So that's how I start the conversation. So, what do? You tell me what you do. And then I say, okay. Well, this is what I do. And then next thing you know, we're doing business. Also, I've developed some amazing partnerships with some other business owners, community professionals, where they conduct workshops for free. So I don't have to pay people to conduct workshops. I have a small group of people that I have to pay, that I pay to present. For the most part, most of our presenters, they volunteer and they present for free. So I've been very blessed this season to be connected with some people that really understand my vision and they support vision. And I put some good energy out there, Miss Verna. You know, you never know how you're going to need somebody 10 years.
That's true. That's so
I put some good energy out there, built some really great relationships, and it's paying back this season.
That's really great. I like the fact when you said you barter, because I don't think a lot of business in this day and time or 2021 really barter. I mean, I don't think, I'm not saying they don't know how,
Yeah.
I just don't think most do it.
No,
And
I agree.
I know when I started, I did the same thing. I still barter, but
Yes.
I'm learning that most people really don't. And I give away. There's something that I really do that I don't talk about and when I give away, because I kind of like to keep it. I don't want to use the word, but I really don't. I do give away, but
Mhm.
I kind of keep it private. So, but I do love that idea of bothering. So, tell me, when you helping startups, do you do they have to come with a raw idea, or should they have the idea written out maybe in an outline?
Not necessarily. Honestly, if they wake up one morning and they have a vision and they are determined, we'll help them. What we've learned with doing the business mentorship program is that a lot of startups do not have money and they cannot afford traditional consulting services. They can't pay for it. So this program allows them an opportunity to come up with a little money to pay for professional support to start their businesses. Also, one thing that stands our program apart from any program in the world is that we offer a full, comprehensive, holistic practice. So we have an attorney that assists. We have some financial people that assist. Then you have me with my expertise and my background. But I also pull in those support that I have from the community that are either successful business owners or they work in high level career positions, and they come in and they support these business owners. And so they get all of that. It's built in their price. We help with their website. We help with marketing. We help with the organizational infrastructure. We help with programming. We help with identifying secure funding opportunities. And then you get the legalities and you get the financial support that you need.
That's amazing. That sounds just like that's a solid structure.
Yeah.
Um, it's not a course, but it's a solid structure way of getting them started. Because I know, I think most people, when they start in a business, the first thing they think about is logos and colors.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
don't think about the actual structure part of it. So, in helping with your grant writing, is that something you offer year round, or at what point do you offer that?
Oh gosh, so grant writing is my bread and butter. So I actually plan for how I do the grant writing. I do not write grants all year round, but I do have seasons. I know when grant season is really popular, and that's at the end of the year. And also when I say at the beginning of the year, I mean the beginning of the calendar year, and then at the beginning of the fiscal year. So that's when most funders are actually looking to push out funding opportunities. But then you have foundations that are looking to, they're looking and they're vetting organizations at the end of the fiscal year because they're preparing new budgets for the new fiscal year. So grant writing is, and like I try to communicate to people, that grant writing is more than just having a 501c3 organization, but it's also about having a strong organizational and programming infrastructure and sustainable finances. A lot of times organizations have an organizational infrastructure. And when I say organizational infrastructure, I'm talking about the compliance piece and the legalities of the organization, the things out around the organization. And then the programming is the internal piece. Organizations have those two, but where they run into challenges is being able to document success, which is your data, which is the data piece is important with our business, because a lot of businesses do not understand that you have to have proof of concept. So you have to prove to me that what you do actually works and that I can trust you with our money. So that's an important piece. But then also the finances with so with federal funding, most of the time federal funding are considered reimbursable funds, and you have to have money already, or you have to have the funds available already before you can receive the fund federal entity. And the easiest way I can explain this is that if you are trying to apply for a 50 federal grant or a grant that is considered reimbursable, you
Now, what
must
was that price again?
say it again, Ms. Verna.
What was that price? You have to have at least
15. So if you're going to apply for a $15,000 grant,
okay.
and it's a reimbursable grant or a federal grant, most federal grants are they're called, and I also consider match funding. So you have match, and then you have reimbursable, which are two terms that is often used with federal grants. So let's just say you have a $15,000 grant that you're trying to apply for. You're going to have to prove that to manage that $15,000 at some point. Also want to have financial records so that you have the funds available. And when they're looking for that, and to make sure that you have that in your reserves, because with reimbursable grants, you have to spend the money first, and then we reimburse you for whatever you spend. So a lot of people in with the preconception of that they're just going to give you $15,000. It doesn't always work like that. So you have to have the financial sustainability in place to prove that you are that you have the funds available and that you can manage the funds. So with all of that being said, with the grant writing piece, I try to help organizations understand that there are so many things that must be in place before you can even consider applying for funding opportunities. And if they don't know that when they first interact with me, Ms. Verna, I make sure I educate them on that as well, because the goal is for you to be a grant ready organization as well. There are some situations where I will have clients that are grant ready, but again, they're missing those components that is needed to help them successfully apply for a funding opportunity or receive that funding opportunity.
So they do not have to be grant ready when they come to you.
Absolutely not. So we have some organizations that come to us and working, and I'm talking about the startup businesses, the startup or the grassroots organizations. Those are the organizations that's probably been operating in 3 to 5 years. They have an operating budget of less than $1,000. So these organizations that what you previously stated that I chuckled a little bit on the inside is that you have some people that not only do they think about logos and colors, but they jump straight into programming. They jump straight into providing services without even making sure their business is registered to even begin with. And so we try to we do an assessment to see where they are in their business. And even if they have an idea, but they have this desire to start this business, we help them. We have helped about 10 businesses that has not started providing services, but they wanted to do things in decent order. So they wanted to make sure that they built the foundation before they started providing services and taking money.
Mm, that's good. Where was you when I started so many years ago? I literally,
Learning, still growing.
I literally just jumped and um, started, and then slowly learning because I didn't have. I don't know if I was afraid,
Yeah.
or I just didn't have that knowledge of knowing exactly where to go. But I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I just started to read and learn more and adding pieces to it. And so that's a great thing that you're offering. And did you offer any of this like in a class setting to startups, or like in a community setting? Do you offer any of that training in that way?
So the IS Cares program is twofold. So we do have the mentorship model, the business mentorship model, and that is a 6-month program for 10 to 11 startup or grassroots organization. So they go through this 6-month rigorous kind of like business boot camp. And so that is a separate entity. But then we also offer year-round workshops, personal and professional development workshops in mental health and trauma, professional and personal, professionalism and leadership, entrepreneurship, health and wellness, family and individual empowerment. And we just added the economic sustainability and economic development and financial literacy. And so we offer workshops year round on these different topics where we have myself and other professionals that provide workshops to people in the community. We used to do them face to face, of course, before COVID, but now we're doing them all virtually. And at some point we hope to go back to the face to face interaction and then incorporate some virtual workshops along the way.
That's really great that you all added the mental health piece.
Yes.
Did you just add it, or have you always had it?
We've always had it. And with the change in the mindset model, which is the concept that I created, it has that psychology background. So the change in the mindset model that I created is based around cognition. So it has cognitive psychology principles. It has the growth mindset by Carol Dweck, which is actually a newer psychology model that has just been added. And then you have operant conditioning. So I utilize those three models to develop the change in the mindset model, because the goal is to help you change the way you perceive things, help the way you internalize your thinking to produce positive behaviors. So we all know that the way we think and the way we feel affects the way how we behave in different situations and how we interact with others. So, for example, if your friends ask you to go somewhere, and this is just a general example, your friends ask you to go to a party and you find out that there's going to be people at that party you don't like, that's embedded in your mind as a thought process, right? So when you get to that party, you're going to behave a certain way because you don't want to be there. And what we try to get people to understand is that what you feed your mind and how you internalize things can present itself in the form of behaviors. And we do that a lot with the work that we do at Innate Success, is that we want to feed you positive things. We want to change the way you think right now to prevent you from having any maladaptive behavior. That's any behavior that you could potentially present with because of the way you're thinking.
I like that. You mentioned, as we're talking about mental health and mindset growth and working, I remember reading at whatever time frame it was. Maybe I was in my early 40s or whatever. But I remember reading an article about if you work 6 weeks straight, you should take a day off. And I was like, and then I just started incorporating it into my job. And I think one of my coworkers said, Miss Vernon, why you take so much? I never told anybody, I never said anything to anybody about it, but it actually worked. I would work my 6 weeks straight, and then you pretty much feel tired anyway. And I would just take the day off. It just worked for me. So nowadays, everyone is talking about mindset shift. A shift in your thinking. It's just always a shift. A shift is going on somewhere. Would you say it's trending, or it is actually needed, or is I know it's very new because people have not talked about it before. So what do you think brought it about? Because that's all everybody's talking about. Mindset shift. And and there's so many coaches. Oh, I'm sorry. There's so many coaches. I'm trying to always wrap my mind around it because what's the good word I'm looking for? Do you think it's trending? I'm gonna leave it right there. Do you think
I think I know where you're going. So yes, I think it's trending, but I also think that people are now becoming more aware of how not being or not understanding your thinking and how it affects your behaviors. I don't think that people are making a connection yet that the way you think affects your behaviors, but I think people are now saying, hey, you need to change your mindset. You need to change your mindset. You need to change the way you think. You need the mind shift. So you have all of these changing the mind concepts, but no one has said how.
Oh.
So you will often hear people say, change your mindset. But then it was like, well, there's nothing wrong with the way I think. So it's the way I think. These are my perceptions. I own them. So why do I need to change the way I think? Because you don't agree with me or you don't understand of thinking. Um, so you have that education piece that's missing with the mindset shifting process, which is why I created this model, because I show you how to change the way you think, or I present you with the tools and the resources to help you look at things from a different perspective. Because it's not about changing how you view things per se, as to change your identity, what you value, what you believe, but it's also looking at things from multiple perspectives and saying, hey, it's okay for that person to think that way and behave that way. It's okay for that person to think that way and behave that way. And it's okay for me to think that way and behave that way. So everyone has a right. I think we are losing the right to have our own personal feelings and our own personal beliefs. And it's like, if you don't conform to group thinking, you outcast and you're treated differently because you don't think the same as everybody else. I try to incorporate a little bit of, can we go back to thinking how we want to think? But I will also say, to your point, Ms. Verna, we have this thing called manifestation now. So
Yes.
everyone is manifesting, and they're coupling that with mind shifting, which is not the same thing. So you can't just things out into the atmosphere and expect for them to happen just because you're manifesting. Manifesting also comes with work, and so it's no different from goal setting. So when you're trying to establish goals for yourself, you have to establish action plans in order for those goals to become a reality. It's when we're manifesting. If you are hoping to accomplish something, but you put no action behind it and no work, then are you really going to manifest that thing that you want or that person? Because we manifesting men now. We manifesting relationships.
But
So
God forbid, God forbid. So gather my thoughts. So we talk about mindset and behavior. I grew up, born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s. But those are things our parents and the era that my mother was born and how her parents taught her. It's the same way that she taught us, my siblings and I, and the same way I teach my kids. Everything was scripture based.
mm,
So manifestation, scripture based,
yes,
mindset, all of these things. Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, but it seems
right,
like it's so brand new and it's been here all the time. Like your parent would tell us uh, about your behavior. Your action causes a reaction. You can't act the way
right.
your friends act. I don't know what their mother let them do at their house, but you will not be doing that at our house. Those are the
Exactly.
same things. Your behavior, all of those things, they've been here all along. That is why
Yes.
I asked, is it trending? And manifestation, that word is it's like trending. It's like everybody is saying it. And we do know that uh, what's the word I'm looking for? This is one scripture talks about faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. All of
Right.
those have already been here. The evidence
Right.
of things not seen, that's manifestation, right? Now, having the faith now, you don't see it, but you have the faith that it's going to happen. Those
That's
are things
right.
we already learned early on in life. So I'm always cautious when I hear it, manifestation, mindset shifting in such a way that it's not what I've been used to hearing, so to speak.
Right. And sometimes it appears unrealistic and unauthentic too, because it's like, okay, people are using it as a way to generate revenue. It is, and it is what everyone is using. But I also look at the ways of the generational scale. So every generation takes this thing that they make it their own.
Right.
So in my generation, we read it as changing the mindset. Then you got these G's that's looking at it, that's station. But it all means the same. Right? Just that each generation taking it and made it their own and it's a class, which is why people utilize.
Yes, yes, yes. So you mentioned uh, your this model of your mindset model. You mentioned that. Exactly how does it work? How do you?
So, well, what we did was that created a way to identify ways to people's thought processing. So we have a few things that we use is with the business program, and I'm working with my individual clients. Other information from them to just kind of determine where their thought processing is. That answers a lot of questions for me. My background in psychology is a psychology professor. So I like a little bit of her when it comes to looking at people's behaviors and determining what they're thinking based on the way they behave. And a lot of times I'm pretty with a lot of people don't get that I'm right about it. I kind of can tell. I complete a couple of clients and participants, and I take that information and I put it to the so I have qualitative data, which is everything in writing that told me. And then I have one meeting with you because after I look at your qualitative data, I already know what you're. Once I have you, you're able to confirm what I've already based on your assessment data. And what I take information and I create an individualized plan based on some tools that I have in my mindset. I have 17 different tools that I use to help any business be successful. Every business, 100%, and I say business that apply my change of a mindset, they're totally different from when they started working with me to where they are now, and they're usually those same to help them be successful. Example, because we also use this with our health and wellness program on our nonprofit. So with our health program, these weight or eat, we try to do a of lifestyle change. So with the lifestyle changes, we're not just trying right now. We're trying to get you to look at things holistically from multiple perspectives and see how this behavior can be faceted places in your. So with our health and wellness program, goal is to you create a healthy lifestyle. So we incorporate the eating option, incorporate working out, we incorporate the mindset shifting process, and we implement different activities with the participants to get them to see of thinking is barrier to your success.
That is fantastic. I liked how you are making sure that the business owner is uh, making sure that everything is in order before they get started and that they have a
Yeah.
solid foundation. And you do the same thing for your nonprofit organizations as well?
Our nonprofit organization actually called Changing the but we're in the process of doing some organizational restructuring. And so changing the mindset, we're planning to different things with changing them. I don't want to quite say just yet because I haven't made a formal one, but we want to do some things different, changing the mindset model and what we're doing a success. But we definitely the work that I've done with changing the mind research and the model, I use that to develop. So I can honestly say with the work that I do with my businesses was not back created a model that I used that helped me become a successful business. I'm taking that model and applying it to everyone else I come into contact with.
And how long do you work with an individual client?
No longer than 6 months. I can guarantee you that in 4 months, we will have your business established and you will be ready in 6 months. I don't work with anybody past 6 months because I feel that if I have to work with you, you're really not serious about it.
So,
you are not going to have me tied down working with you here on a hamster wheel.
what if the person is just not grasping the concept?
So, and you know what? I have not, knock on wood, I don't have any wood anywhere. My desk is glass, but knock on wood, paper. I have been fortunate to not have a client that was not ready. So, so far to date, we've been in a success. We started out at SG Consulting and Data in 2018. SG Consulting and Data was a LLC. We did so well for 2019 and 2020 that January 1, 2021, we decided to change the name and the filing status from a LLC to LLC sole proprietorship to a S corporation and change the name to Innate Success. So far we have not had an experience where we've had clients that were not ready. Now, I will say that I have clients that has what I like to call psychological paralysis, which means that they have set up some mental blocks in their brain to protect them from moving forward. So it's not necessarily that they're not ready, they have fear. And because my background is in trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy, I've worked with individuals that have experienced trauma, so I know how to break those walls down. And I normally do that. It may sound weird, but after the first day of meeting with a business owner, I break those walls down immediately and we're able to move forward. So I am trained in motivational interviewing. I'm trained in trauma-focused cognitive behavior therapy. So I know how to interact with a person that has experienced trauma, and I know how to utilize those tools to help an individual establish trust and rapport with me. And I have to do a little bit extra massaging to let them know that I'm a safe place. And so once I build that rapport, I establish that rapport and pull back a few of those layers, I'm able to get some things accomplished.
And trauma in business or just trauma in life, period?
Just trauma in life, period.
Wow. Is that when most people say do it afraid?
What'd you say, Ms. Verna?
Is that when most people use the term do it afraid? You know how you taking a leap? I can honestly say, I actually do things scared, but it's like it's like it motivates me. I won't say I'm scared, but
Mm-hmm.
nervous and maybe apprehensive,
Right.
but I just I just move forward. So maybe a little nervous, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
little shaky, but I continue to move forward. I wouldn't. So that wouldn't be a trauma. A trauma would not be considered in that particular way, right?
Well, it depends because trauma, you have different layers of trauma. You have minimal to extreme. But also trauma comes in different forms. A lot of people think that trauma only happens when you experience maybe like some sexual abuse or you was abused as a child. But trauma can occur in the workplace. Trauma can occur when you have a agreement with someone and they don't follow through on what they were supposed to do, and it affects your life in multiple places. So trauma is anything that can cause disruption and affect your mental stability.
Okay.
Trauma also comes with fear. Fear is attached to trauma. And that's how I know how to engage with my clients. Because like I said, I complete that assessment. Once I complete that assessment, I kind of already know what I'm dealing with. But after that conversation, that's when I'm able to say, oh, I know what you're really dealing with.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm able to listen for certain things and pull out certain things in that client, um, And I'm able to use that to establish a rapport and an engagement. So trauma can be anything. One client that I'm thinking about in particular has a given heart, and she's been beat down. She tried the barter system, and people did not do their fair share.
Right.
So she gave and didn't get anything in return, and no one actually, or some people did not give their fair share. So she did her part, but they didn't do their part in return. And so, of course, in her mind, she's thinking that everybody that I come into contact with, they use the word barter, which is a trigger word for her now. And with trauma comes with triggers. So whenever she hear the word barter, she's going to have a negative thought about that. Her perception about the barter process is going to be negative, and it's going to reflect in her behavior. So when you're working with someone new that says, hey, let's try the barter service, she immediately shells up.
Wow.
She immediately shells up. And I didn't know that that's what the issue was until we started talking more, and I was able to engage with her. And that's when she told me about her experiences without using the word barter, but she told me her experiences. And I said, okay, now I see why you're clinching up with me when we have this conversation about shared services. Okay. So how do I work around this? Now I have to reestablish her trust.
Mm-hmm. I get
I have to show her some examples, or I have to send her some videos, or I have to tell her my personal experiences about how the barter system is supposed to work. And how I was able to break her from that, Ms. Verna, was that I showed her a contract of what a barter relationship looks like. So I said, it's not a spit on a hand and a handshake. That's not how barter systems work. My attorney taught me that if you want to do barter services, you establish a contract just like you would if it was paid services. And if you're telling me that your services cost $800 a month and you want to do business with me, then that means that you need to return $800 in services. And when I actually explained that to her and I showed her an actual contract that I had with someone that was barter services, she started to relax. She started to gain a little trust because she was like, okay, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was, or it wasn't as bad as my experiences were, because maybe I was doing it wrong. That's when that self-accountability started to take place. What did I do wrong in this situation? Or where was my error in all of this? Let me see if I can identify, put myself in the situation and say, okay, Shmeka, what could you do differently? And I always tell people, with the change in the mindset process, it's not just about your way of thinking. You have to think about how the other person thinks as well.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the entire situation holistically.
I like that. I never thought that there was an actual contract. Well, I never knew till now. There's an actual contract around bartering, because most of the time is great handshake. Let's shake up. But you know what? When you shake on it, you're actually agreeing. But a lot of
Yes.
people forget that they have actually shook on it. And for that person who actually understands a great firm handshake, it means we actually are agreeing that this is what we're going to do and helping each other. And then you dip, or you decide you don't want to do it. And then you say, oh, we didn't really have anything in writing.
That's right.
But we shook hands, which really means we agreed to this.
Exactly.
And
It's a verbal contract, even though it may not be able to stand up in law, but your word is everything. It's a verbal agreement. And in her case, she was just doing a lot of handshaking. And she was the one, and normally with those type, you have one person that puts part, and the other person, they don't do their fair share.
well, I'm glad to know that there's actually, you can actually say, well, let's have a contract, a bartering contract,
It will
or
be the contract that you would create for changing money. You
Mhm.
list the conditions of, then you list the term conditions. You guys review it, you agree on it, and then you enforce it. Sign it, sign it,
sign it.
then and then enforce it. and you track it, So with that being said, if I have an agreement with someone, then I do my fair share and I say, I've done all of this, the price tag for all of this. That person say, okay, well, I've done all of this. This is the price tag of all of this. Oh, okay, well, I see I'm shot 200. Is it okay if I, get, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That creates positive relationship building, but also it's professionalism. And in our culture specifically, lack in some of those that we need to be successful business owners. We trust that the handshake is going to be the best effective way to get business done, but it doesn't always happen like that. And sometimes we have to train people on how to do certain things. That's the operant conditioning. We have to apply forcers. We have to implement processes and systems so people can understand and develop the mindset of how these things work. So if I don't teach you, if I don't provide the conditioning that is needed to help you understand how to be a successful business owner, then you're not going to know.
That's true. That's so true. Now, when you mentioned volunteering, do you have like a condition, not a condition, criteria for your volunteers? Or can anyone just call and say, I would like to volunteer with your company? How does your volunteer system work?
So we have different areas where people can volunteer in. Most of the time, the volunteering is done around the benefit profit services, the nonprofit services. I mean, so that would be the ops and the Innate Success mentorship program. So we have an intake form or an application, perhaps they can complete, and then they send it to us, and somebody gets in touch with them. But we do have interns. So we do have interns that intern with our company and are able to get some experience in different areas of our business. And so that's pretty much how we do the intern piece and the volunteer piece.
Well, you guys are really busy. You look like you have everything covered as it pertains to business owners, business model, uh, mental health, mind. You should have everything covered, all under one umbrella. Did it take
Yes.
you a long time? I'm wondering in my mind, did it take you quite a quite a time to get there? I mean, it's like innate success is a one stop shop for businesses.
It
It's
is.
like it's like going to a community center and they got all of these different doors that you can go into because you have everything there. And it's like from the beginning to the end.
Yeah,
You don't have your raw material, but you have a thought.
that's
So
right.
you have all of your different doors. I like that. Where were you when I started? I wouldn't have to went through so much just to get to where I am. But great resources, great, lots of awesome resources. That's amazing. And then you take your educational training, being a psych. I mean, that's amazing. And that you can
Thank
use
you.
those things and everything that you've learned as a psychologist to just uh, make everything work.
Yeah. And so just to answer your question, I would say um, I've been in the field of social services for about 17 years. And I always like to give credit where credit is due because my experience actually started in the workforce. So I did not gain this experience recently. So it took me 10 to 15 years to develop the skills that I have, the experience that I have. And I knew at 25, Ms. Verna, that I wanted to be a business owner. I knew I wanted to have my own consulting firm. I manifested that. So, of course, I set goals. I set some goals for myself and where I wanted to be by the age of 35. So this year is year 35 for me. And I had a 10-year plan, and I used that 10-year plan to establish and get some things together for my business. Now I jump out into the business realm until about 2017, 2018. So I was still working in the workforce, but I was using that time to identify my business model, what type of business I wanted to offer. And opportunities started to present themselves when organizations needed someone to provide workshops that I knew how to, educate people on. And what happened was I had a business say, "Hey, we need your EIN number so we can pay you." And I'm like, "What?" I don't know what that is. Because I was just used to, them just cutting me a check and I go on about my business. But when they was like, "Well, no, we need it for tax purposes." And I was like, "Hey." So that was the first push. And so when I started the whole changing the mindset, because before I did the business, I said, I just don't want any business, Miss Verna. I want a successful, sustainable business that will yield ongoing generation. That was my thought process. It wasn't about being a six figure. It wasn't about being $1 million business. It was about creating a legacy. And I said, all right, Shmeka, how you want to do that? So I started the changing the mindset model then, but it wasn't called changing the mindset model. It was mind shift. Mind shift was the original idea behind changing the mindset. And the book was, when I first started writing the book was going to be about generational poverty. So in my mind, I kind of already knew where I wanted to go. I just didn't know how to get there. So I started to go through this process. I finished writing the first draft. I was able to find an editor, Virginia. She reviewed the book. Her words, she didn't like it. It was like, it says it's horrible. So I was like, okay, well, a shot, a blow to me. So I'm like, this lady don't know what she's talking about. I'm not gonna keep doing this with her. So I got a second opinion. And they was like, what? Like, all of this with you, and this is what? No, we're not gonna do that. So I went back to the drawing board. I was upset. I was in my feelings. I felt some type of way. But I prayed about it. I said, all right, well, God, this is what I want to do. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. How can I get there? Show me some signs, move some around. And I remember, not to make the story long, Ms. Verna, I remember having a dream one night on a Thursday night where God revealed to me what was going to happen in the next 3 years. Tell me how I was going to get there. He showed me one incident that led to a 3-year journey. That 3-year journey, I developed the Changing the Mindset model. I created 3 books under that model. I created a full-fledged business model that is helping businesses all around the world.
That's amazing. From that, no, we're not going to do this, and you getting out of your feelings and actually doing the work. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I thought about when you mentioned mindset shift. It is that one scripture: faith without work is dead.
It's dead. That's right.
You have to have the faith to do it, and that's exactly what you've done. Something else was coming to my mind, but uh, I was thinking how now I know what it is. So you help those starters. What about someone that's been in business for let's say 10 years? I'm gonna use my own self for example. What if I came to you? Let me use me because I've been thinking right here. I've been doing what I do. I've been doing it for quite some time. I have my all the things, and now I need to come into the 21st century.
Mm.
Everything that I've done has worked for me. It works the way I want it to work, and I come to you. Where do where would I start? What door am I going to go to first?
Well, you come through the front door first.
Then you got all of these doors. Where do I go to first?
So first we do the assessment just to see where you are in your business and where you're trying to go. a lot of times people don't even know where they want to, they know they just want to start a business and they know they want to be rich. That's it. I'm like, okay, well, what, like I said, in my case, it wasn't just about the money, it was about the legacy for me. So I wanted to create something for my daughters. I have two daughters.
Right.
So, the first thing we would do is an assessment. And the most important piece when we're looking at NA Success and the mentorship program, we're looking to determine which one will be the best fit. So
Okay.
my contracted services, of course, are a little bit more expensive, but those are for organizations that can afford that and they want a quick turnaround. They want a quick turnaround on their investment. So we will push you over to the contracted services side. I have some startup companies that has been saving. In my case, I saved $20,000 to start my business. When I decided to leave work, I was off work for 6 months and I used that 6 months to develop my business model. I lived off of credit cards and I lived off of my savings. I actually got down to my last $1,200 before I got this client.
That's great.
Back story. back to helping Ms. Verna. So we have some startup companies that wants to do the contracted services because they're ready now, and they're prepared. So we will assess, which service you will like. But if you say, well, no, I need something that's a little bit more, slow paced, on a time, I can't afford it now. Mentorship program. With the mentorship program, Ms. Verna, we offer the same services that we offer corporate side. The only difference is that they have more access to one-on-one services, but a lot of times those clients come with writing services. So they pay a little bit more because we're also applying for grant opportunities for them. Now, our mentorship program, we already know we can't apply for grants. There's no way I'm going to push you to a contracted service when I know that we're not going to be able to help you. That's also one thing about me as well, Ms. Verna, is that even though I have a skill set and I know that people need my skill set, I'm not going to take it to you. If I know this is not going to be in the best interest and I know that I won't be able to apply funding opportunities, I wouldn't dare to where I would take any from you. I'm going to educate you first, help you get to where you need to be. And then now, if you want to have that conversation, but my is to educate. My goal is to educate and help understand how to be full, successful business owners. And so we will push you over to, we would consultation and we would develop a plan, action plan to help your business get to where you need it to be within a 6-month time frame. And that will include your IT support, that will include your financial support, that will include your legal support, that will include your organizational and program and development infrastructure. We help you with your marketing, we help you with your website, we help you get great ready. You name it, we do it.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing because when you think about some business that's been in business a long time, they're pretty much focused on doing business. And those administrative things, especially if you're a one man show, get kind of shoved back, you know, like I know I probably need to update my whatever those things that I do. I probably need to update my business plan. I probably need to update it. I know I do, but I'm out. You know how business owners are. We get
Yep.
so busy doing business that we forget to do our administrative work, and then there's nobody else to do the administrative work. So that's amazing that you offer not only to those that are starting up, you just an all around person. That's amazing. That's really great to know.
Thank
And
you.
you're a great community person too. So sometimes you don't have that. You have a
Yeah.
person who may be for one, but not for all. And that's what makes innate success a success. I can see that now.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I try to be, like I said, I try to put that good energy out there. Um, I try to help people. I have two of my first clients. They took me under their wing. They gave me an opportunity. They trusted me. And I told them that, and in the midst of the conversation, I told them that if you give me an opportunity, I'm going to help somebody else. And that's what I've been doing. So I also encourage my clients that we're going through this program for me to help others. So my goal is to educate you on the best business practices. So when people see you glowing and growing, they come to you and they say, hey, how did you do that? Somebody told me this, and this. They're able to tell you, well, no, that's not, this is what you do instead. And so I'm planting the seeds in them so they can plant them in other people. And I even tell my clients that the tools and the resources that I've given you, share them with other people. I'm not concerned about anybody taking anything from me, Miss Verna, because what's for me is for me. And I strongly believe that no one is going to be able to do it like me anyway. So have at it. So
When you but that is absolutely true. When you create something from the ground up, from scratch,
divine intervention.
yeah, when you do it and you created it, they may copy it, but it'll never be like the
No.
original. It will never.
It wasn't for you.
That's right. You didn't come up with the idea. So that is absolutely positively true. And the scripture that came to mind, the seeds you sow are definitely the seeds that you shall reap. So you sow seeds, you will reap good seeds. That is absolutely true. I mean, the word is true for sure. The word is true for sure. Miss Shmeka, it's been a pleasure today listening to everything that you do and how you help everyone in the community. I mean, it's amazing. And I applaud you for that and all your
Thank
efforts
you.
doing for startups, those that are in business already, been in business for a long time and really need help update their stuff. I applaud you for that. So, if you don't mind at this time sharing with our audience how they can get in contact with you and how they can connect with you, and you can do that at this time.
Okay, can I add one more thing before I give my contact information? So, just to offer some advice, well, not necessarily some advice, but some motivation. I work with $1 million companies, and even $1 million companies that has been running business for 5, 10 years, they still need my services. So, if you are a business owner and you're concerned that you don't have enough years of experience or you don't have enough money, just keep in mind that there are businesses that are operating with $1 million budgets. They need organizational development infrastructure and programming. So if you got an idea and you're serious about starting this, contact Shmeka at S Gibson at NA Success. That's INNATESUCCES.com. My website is www.nasuccess.com. You can find me on Instagram at Mindset Shift with Dr. Gibbs. That's 1B. That's the radio. And also, Success is on Facebook and Instagram.
That's great. That's great. Well, we will definitely be contacting you again to have you back on,
Yes.
so we can
Thank
learn more about
you.
it. So, Ms. Shmeka, thank you so much for your time today, and
Thank you.
definitely appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Verna.
Okay, have a great one. Wow, what an awesome person Miss Dr. Gibbs is. We had an amazing time learning some awesome things about what she do, what our company does, and all the things that she have created. And we definitely appreciate her. And so we're reading this year. We are reading from by Still Waters, 365 Devotions to Quiet and Refresh Your Soul by Anita Hickman and Marion Leslie. And today we are reading Traveling Light, Light, Traveling Light. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew's the 11th chapter, 29th through the 30th verse, and that's the NIV version. As tourists, we tend to put way too much stuff in our suitcases. And then we drag the luggage around until we think our arms will fall off. That's when we ask ourselves, did I really need that fifth pair of scrappy sandals or that pile of potentially useless gimmicks like the battery powered do doubler for my sweater. No problem. Not. But we are determined to carry it all, just in case, right? And so it goes with life. We tend to lug around too much stuff, burdens we are never meant to carry, until we think our spirit might collapse from the weight of it all. But when we hand our baggage over to the Lord, all that doubt and sin and regret and fear and bitterness and failure and sorrow, well, we can suddenly move our focus to the beautiful world God has given us all this earthly journey, on this earthly journey. All the blessings, all the beauty, all the love. Traveling light never felt so good. Lord, show me how to give you all my heavy burdens and leave them at your feet. Amen. And again, thank you so much for tuning in to OPM Live, which is an extension of Ordinary People magazine. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, OPM Live with Verna V. Nickelberry, and follow us on Facebook, OPM Live with Verna V. Nickelberry. And again, thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, love, peace, and increase, and be blessed.